Exchange traded funds or ETFs, whether it's for dividend income, dividend growth, diversification, or just to beat the broader stock market such as S&P 500, TSX 60, TSX Composite, Dow 30 or Nasdaq 100, these ETFs are getting very popular these days. Watch this video till the end as I will present a slide which I'm sure you would like to take a screenshot of. It will save you time and effort so that you do not have to take notes while watching this video. Today I'm going to talk about 7 growth ETFs. It will give you some basic information so that you can do your own research and decide on your own which may work for you. If you have any other favorite ETFs not mentioned here, please write in the comment section below so that we can all learn from each other. Hello, welcome back. My name is David Das. I'm a retired engineer, an investor, an author, and a YouTuber. My main mission is to educate younger generation about savings and investing based on my limited knowledge and experience. All the data presented today is after market close on April 24th, 2024. Please keep in mind that this video is for educational purposes only and not a recommendation to buy or sell anything. So let's get started, shall we? For people who are new to ETF, I just want to explain that ETFs are an excellent way to diversify your investment portfolio while minimizing the risk. That is a very important part. And a growth ETF in particular target companies with high growth potential, making it an attractive option for investors looking to capitalize on the market trends. Now you are looking at the 5-year chart of my first growth ETF, Invesco QQQ Trust, with a ticker symbol of QQQ. I just want to qualify one thing, that these ETFs are not listed in any particular order. The average volume of shares traded for this ETF is about 45 million. The expense ratio is 0.20% and the yield is 0.59%. As I mentioned, these are growth ETFs, so these yields can be very low. Basically, this ETF tracks the Nasdaq 100 index. This fund is from Invesco fund family. It has net assets of $259 billion and the inception date is March 1999. 1-year return is about 39.32%. The 5-year return is 20.65%. And the 10-year return is 18.60%. So it's not bad at all considering the different ups and downs we had throughout these 10 years. Now you can see the top 10 holdings of this fund. The top 3 are Microsoft with a percentage of 8.75%, Apple is about 7.4%, and Nvidia is about 6.32%, and the technology sector has the highest weighting of about 50%. The second ETF on my list is from Vanguard. It's called Vanguard Growth Index Fund ETF shares with the ticker symbol VUG. You can see the 5-year chart. The average volume traded per day of this ETF is about 1 million shares per day. It tracks the diversified index predominantly made up of growth stocks of large US companies. The yield again is very low, is 0.53%, and the expense ratio is 0.04%. The net assets is about $226 billion and the inception date is January 2004. You can see the top holdings of this ETF. The top 3 are Microsoft, Apple, and Nvidia. The technology sector obviously has the highest percentage of 47.6% in this fund. The third growth ETF on my list is iShares S&P 500 Growth ETF with the ticker symbol of IVW. You can see the 5-year chart of this ETF. The average volume of shares traded for this ETF is about 4 million shares. The yield is 0.79% and the expense ratio is 0.18%. It basically captures the large cap growth sector of the US equity market. It is from the iShares fund family, as I mentioned. The net assets is $44 billion and the inception date is May of year 2000. The 1-year return is 33.49%, 5-year is 15.57%, 10 years is 14.36%. You can see the top holdings of this ETF and the top 3 are Microsoft, Apple, and Nvidia. and technology sector obviously leads again for this particular ETF. The fourth ETF on my list is Schwab US Large Cap Growth ETF with the ticker symbol SCHG. Now you're looking at the 5-year chart. It has an average volume of about 1.45 million shares per day. The yield is 0.43% and the expense ratio is 0.04%. And this ETF basically tracks the Dow Jones US Large Cap Growth Total Stock Market Index. The net asset of this fund is $26.8 billion, and the inception date of this ETF is December of 2009. The 1-year return is about 42.94%, which is very impressive. The 5-year is 19.19%, and the 10-year return average per year is 15.95%. So impressive performance by this ETF. The top holdings, as you can see, but the top three are same as before: Microsoft, Apple, and Nvidia, and the technology sector rules again. The fifth ETF on my list is Spider Portfolio S&P 500 Growth ETF with the ticker symbol SPYG. You are looking at the 5-year chart of this fund. The average volume traded per day is about 2.2 million. The yield is about 0.9%, and the expense ratio is 0.04%. This fund basically tracks the S&P 500 growth companies. The net asset of this fund is $24.9 billion, and the inception date is September of year 2000. The 1-year return is 33.65%, the 5-year return is 15.73%, and the 10-year return is 14.46%. You are now looking at the top holdings of this ETF, and the top three are same as before: Microsoft, Apple, and Nvidia, and the technology sector still again has the highest weightage of 48.59%. The sixth ETF on my list is Invesco Nasdaq 100 ETF with the ticker symbol QQQM. And again, you're looking at the 5-year chart of this index. The average volume of shares traded per day is 1.8 million. The yield is 0.65%, and the expense ratio is 0.15%. Just by looking at the name, it basically tracks the companies in the Nasdaq 100 index. The net assets is $23.02 billion, and this ETF is fairly new. The inception date is October of 2020. The 1-year return of this fund is 39.47%, the 3-year is 12.49%, and it's fairly new, so we don't have any data for 5 and 10 years. You can see the top holdings, and obviously the first three are still Microsoft, Apple, and Nvidia, and the technology sector has the highest weightage in this fund. And the seventh and the last ETF on my list is Vanguard Mega Cap Growth Index Fund with the ticker symbol of MGK. This is a 5-year chart of this fund, and the average volume of shares traded per day is 324,000. It's basically the mega cap growth stocks in the United States. That's what it tracks. The yield is 0.46%. The expense ratio is 0.07, and the net assets is 19.1 billion, and the inception date is December 2007. The 1-year return is 40.9%. For 5 years, the annual average return is about 19%, and for 10 years, it's 15.89%. You can see the top holdings of this fund. The top three are same as before: Microsoft, Apple, and Nvidia, and the technology sector has a weightage of 51%. As I promised before, please do not forget to take this screenshot. This spreadsheet will give you a summary of all the numbers I just presented for each of the 7 ETFs. Thanks for watching this video. If you found this video helpful, please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe for more investment tips and insights, and I will see you next time.